Hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back to y'all. Welcome back to me. I am excited. I'm excited. I'm happy to be back. I missed y'all. And I have lots to share. If you've noticed, I've changed the podcast title a little. Menopause Moguls navigating midlife-ish. Okay? Because as you all know, all the shit that is happening in midlife, it's a lot. And we really have to be navigating through all of these things, right? So I wanted to incorporate that in the title because menopause, aging, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. Building a business, running a business doesn't happen in a vacuum. Following your dreams doesn't happen in a vacuum. There's so many things happening around us, within us, that I feel like we need to talk about and have real conversations. So I'm using a new platform, so bear with me. Just trying to do some new things, y'all. I'm in the season of my life, like I said, navigating midlife-ish and trying new things. And I'm happy just to be back recording for the podcast. And I want to thank those of you who are still listening, who have been listening. I haven't recorded or posted or uploaded a podcast since August of 2024, last year. And people are still listening. So thank y'all. I'm like, what are they listening to? I mean, I know there's lots of episodes for you guys to dive in, so don't get me wrong. There's lots of things for you guys to dive in. But I just appreciate the fact that even though I have not recorded in such a long time, which feels like forever for me, it's been a minute. But I appreciate those of you who are still listening and getting some type of help or, support from listening to the podcast. So thank you. I truly appreciate that. So welcome back to you OGs. Welcome back to you new listeners. I, again, appreciate all of you for tuning in, and I'm hoping that this season of the podcast would be even more insightful, more authentic, more helpful, and that's what I'm hoping moving forward. And like I said, there is lots of things that have been happening in my life, and this episode is really about just catching up, right? What's happening in y'all midlife? Because I'm about to share what's happening in my midlife. So let me know what's happening in y'all midlife. Send me a message on IG at Dr. Joyelle. Put something in the review on Apple Podcasts, whatever you guys to do. Hit me up and let me know what's going on in your midlife, because my midlife has been midlifing, right? It's been midlifing. And I'm just trying to think of where to start. I did write out some notes because it's, like I said, it's been a lot, and I'm not trying to, I want to give you a lot of kind of snippets of what's been happening. Because if I tell you like the whole story, the episode will probably be about 2 or 3 hours, and y'all don't have time for that. So I'm trying to be also respectful of your time, and just giving you, like I said, some kind of little bits and pieces of what's been happening. And this episode is more about lessons and blessings that's been happening since I've talked to y'all last. So first I want to talk about my father. So I mentioned, I believe, in an episode or two last time I recorded, that my father had a diagnosis that was really traumatic, right? Not traumatic. I don't know if that's the right word. Traumatic. Devastating. How about that? That's devastating. So I think I touched upon it a lot, but I didn't really give a whole lot of details because I was not ready. Number one. Number two, I did want to tell him that I'm going to talk about you in the podcast. So is that okay? So I did get his okay, just because, like I said, it is his story, but I wanted to share it from my perspective as being the daughter, as being the oldest daughter, as being the caregiver, as being the only doctor in the family, just giving my perspective just in all of that regards, especially in the realm of caregiving, because caregiving, it definitely is something that is part of midlife-ish, right? We are now in a season where we're taking care of aging parents. And I have been dealing with that on both sides, my parents and my in-laws. So, I have two sets of parents, and the blessing is my two sets of parents are still here, my in-laws and my mother and father. So that's definitely a blessing. So I'm glad that, we are still there. And, but yeah, it's been a lot. It has been a lot. So my father was diagnosed with stage 4 liposarcoma. Now, those of you who are not familiar with liposarcoma, so liposarcoma essentially is a rare tumor that develops within fatty tissue. So essentially he had this fatty lump that he had for years, ever since I could remember, right? And then he called me last year and was like, this has been hurting me. And, he's very athletic, healthy man, 70 years old. And, I was like, all right, well, go get it checked out, So he got a CAT scan, and those of you also, I think most of you know that my husband's also a physician. And so we got access to my father's CAT scan, and I knew what it was. Like, there was no I'm an OBGYN, but you can tell, even though this was not, in the pelvis, or in the vagina, I could tell this is bad. This is bad. And as a daddy's girl, my world really just fell apart, because I'm like, oh my gosh, my father is like Superman to me, right? And there is no kryptonite. This man has been through a lot, has done a lot. He has a lot of kids. So yeah, so the news was really devastating for me, and obviously for him, being a healthy guy who never had an issue, to now have this was very just shocking, right? And nobody can be prepared for that. So that happened in February of last year, and he went to his first visit to the oncologist in March. And she basically kind of started the visit with, well, if you don't do anything, you have about 6 months. So I am there, my husband's there, my father, of course, and my mom. And when she said that, I can just tell my parents was like, they didn't hear anything else after that, right? Like, who? And as a physician, I was like, well, goddamn, like, okay, that was a lot for me. So just imagine, I just could imagine for my parents, like, that's all they heard. Like, they didn't hear anything after that. So, but she proceeded to say, like, but yeah, there are options. Here are the options: chemotherapy, because it's a very rare cancer, blah, 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 blah. I do want you to see the specialist at Hopkins. So that was his first visit, right? And again, like, a lot for him to process. So we went to Hopkins a week or so later and saw the specialist. And the specialist also mentioned chemotherapy, but he also mentioned that there could potentially be clinical trials that can be available that he may be a candidate for. We have to get more genetic testing to see which type of liposarcoma this is to figure out if he's actually a candidate for the trial. All right, cool. So, but my father was really against chemo. I ain't doing no chemo. That's what he told me. I ain't doing no chemo, JL. I ain't doing, no. That's gonna kill me. I'm not doing chemo. So I'm like, okay, let's just get all the ducks in a row, because he also had to go through other testing, more CAT scans, more MRIs, more PET scans, like all these things. So as we're going through these different other tests that he had to do, got a genetic testing back, and he has the rarest of the rare of liposarcoma, and we found out that he was not a candidate for a clinical trial, because the clinical trial also, he liked that idea of clinical trials because there was a potential option of getting immunotherapy or oral medications. Because like I said, my father did not want to do chemotherapy. He was like, if he could take a pill, that would be better, because I don't want that IV shit. I mean, these are his words. So he liked that idea. But then we found out, because of the type he had, there were no clinical trials that he was a candidate for. So we were back now to the option of chemo. And my father was totally against it. And like I said, we were going back and forth to these different testing and doctors. And then one day my father was like, you know what? Cancel all the rest of the appointments. I'm not going. And I'm like, what? Excuse me? What do you mean you're not going? I'm not going, JL. I'm tired. This is too much. I just need to figure this out. So I'm like, figure this out? Like, dude, what? I'm a doctor. Obviously, I've managed patients with cancer. And I'm like, dude, we don't have time to be trying to figure shit out. Let's get this ball rolling. Let's get this treatment going. He's like, nah, I'm gonna figure this out. So that was like, for me, what the hell? Like, what? We're losing time. So it really took a lot for me, right? Like, okay, I'm not trying to make this about me, y'all, right? So I get that it was a lot for him to process, and I had to, I guess I was trying to make it about me a little bit, because I'm like, dude, like, nah, we need you here. We need to get you on the road of treatment and healing, as opposed to you just trying to figure it out. Like, no. But I had to allow him to be, it was a lot for him to process, y'all. This is a man who he's never gone to a doctor, ever. He doesn't like doctors, quote unquote. I don't like doctors. I know JL, my husband's name is Corey. Y'all are doctors. I love y'all, but y'all know I don't like doctors. I don't deal with doctors, right? And I'm like, dude, really? Like, we don't have time for this. But I had to, right? I had to let go. I had to be like, all right, like, I can't make you do something you don't want to do. This, at the end of the day, this is your body. And I can't make you, right? And at the back of my mind as a physician, I know what happens down the road, right? Like, I know what's coming. And I want to fix it, right? I'm also a fixer. Like, we need to fix this shit. Like, no, we don't have time to be messing around and figuring out. Like, no. But I had to let go. And I had to allow him the time to process it. So I had to go into prayer mode, right? Like, I was, praying to the Lord, like, Lord, this is now a waiting period, and I need miracles. So I'm praying for miracles as my father is trying to process. He's trying to process, everybody trying to process, right? Like my father, my mother, all my sisters and brothers, my husband, like everybody. And so I had to give it time. I had to give it time. So, I'll talk to him every day, check on him, see how he's doing. And he, same, like, I'm figuring it out, Jael. I'm figuring it out. I'm like, all right, you'll figure it out. So I had to, like I said, I just had to let go and let him be. So in the meantime, a few months later, my mother-in-law, we called her one night, just randomly, just check on her, see how she's doing. She was actually staying with my brother-in-law, and she's like, yeah, I'm just here watching a movie with my leg up. And we're like, oh, okay. She's like, yeah, my leg been hurting me. So I went to the doctor, and they gave me a water pill. So me and my husband's like, what? A water pill for... She was like, yeah, it's swollen. So they gave me a water pill and told me to follow up with a vein doctor. So you're telling us that you have one leg that is swollen and it's hurting, and they gave you a water pill. All right. So those of you who are not in the medical field, if you have one swollen leg that is hurting you, that could be a possible blood clot, a DVT, deep venous thrombosis, a blood clot, right? That can ultimately travel up into your lung, cause a pulmonary embolism, and kill you. All right? So when she told us that, we were like, ma'am, stop watching the movie and go to the ER. We need to find out. We need to make sure you don't have a blood clot, because that sounds like a blood clot to us. And she's like, oh, like, yeah. So she listened and she had a blood clot. Like, dude, this doctor gave you a water pill? Like, this is medical 101. Like, no, what in the world? So lesson there is, if something don't sound right, ask questions, because this is the other lesson. There's generations that are before us. And I looked this up. There's a silent generation, which is like kind of the 74 and older crowd. When it comes to interactions with doctors, they are in the realm of, we just follow the doctor's orders. We don't really ask questions. We just do what they say. Okay, I have to take a water pill? Fine. Take the water pill and go about my business. And then there's baby boomers, which is, between like 56 to 73 or so. They kind of debate doctors, right? They're like, I don't know. Well, I don't know about that. So that was the lesson. To basically, I learned that, different generations have different perspectives or different reactions and responses after they've seen a doctor. So that's the lesson there. Realizing that your parents may have, they have different thoughts and beliefs and ways when it comes to, going to the doctor, seeing the doctor, and actually following, what they say, or questioning what they are saying. But the blessing is, we were like, go to the doctor, and go to the emergency room, and she went, we found the blood clot, and she was able to be placed on the appropriate medication, not a water pill, but a blood thinner. And she ultimately, it became infected, so she had to go on antibiotics also. But again, thankfully, she got treated, and she did okay, right? But again, like I said, thank God, like, we called, right? We actually called that night just to check on her. So that was all God right there. So yeah, so that is that what was happening. Like I said, my father, he tired of he don't want to see no more. He don't want to see another doctor. He don't like doctors just in general. Like, nah, forget it. And then, on the other side, dealing with that. So with all of that, so, dealing with my dad, dealing with mother-in-law, me and my husband were like either on a phone call or in a doctor's office with them, going to appointments, on the phone call, on speakerphone, or on FaceTime, so we can hear what the doctors are saying. So we were doing this. Every week almost, right? It was a follow-up, a doctor's appointment, a CAT scan, all these things. We were doing this for a while, and my mother-in-law also was diagnosed with a rare a rare blood disorder. So we're also researching different things. So I'm an OBGYN, my husband's an orthopedic surgeon. And we have our own specialties, but some of these things were coming up and we were like, what's that again? We went back to medical school, y'all, because we didn't remember all the little things that we learned back in medical school. So we were doing a whole lot of researching also as our parents are coming up with all these different things that are happening with them. So we were doing, like I said, doctor's appointments, whether it was in person or virtually or on the phone, constantly talking to doctors and reading CAT scans and looking at results. I was every day looking in like the my charts for my father, for my mother-in-law, like trying to make sure everybody's labs are good. So that was my day. Like I'm looking at, like, literally, y'all know I resigned from clinical practice, right? That happened in 2021. I resigned from clinical practice, but I had a whole nother practice of taking care of patients who are my parents. And that was what I was doing, right? So doing all of that. And as things were settling with my mother-in-law, she got better. And then like I said, my father was still like, nope, I'm trying to figure this out. I'm going to just I don't know. I'm going to take this, I'm going to try some natural things or whatever. And, y'all, I am definitely one. I know I'm a physician, and we learned all the things in regards to medications, right? In medical school, that's what they honestly push when they're teaching us all these drugs that are available. And I'm definitely one of, natural things, using natural things to heal us. But, when it comes to cancer, right, there's just we have to be careful, right? We have to really be careful about that. So when he told me that, I'm like, okay, like, again, I'm biting my tongue, trying to be supportive, trying to give him his space to figure things out. And I'm like, okay. All right. So we'll, again, like I said, I'm giving you your space. I don't want, again, I can't make you do something that you don't want to do. Right. So I was like, okay, let me get back after, like I say, after we finished the season of going to all these doctor's appointments and researching all these other things kind of settled down. And I'm like, okay, so let me kind of get back into recording for my podcast and launch another cohort for my online coaching. And as I was doing all of that, my mother-in-law she had another issue with her other leg. And this required hospitalization and, so again, more checking on labs and and, making sure she's good and all of that. She was eventually discharged and she was doing fine. And then they came up to see us, spent some time with us, and then she went back. Actually went back to Grenada, and then 2 weeks later, we had to tell them to come back because she was having another issue. And then when she came back, there was also an issue with my father-in-law. So they ended up both being hospitalized when they came back. So now we have both of my in-laws in the hospital, and then my father, who is going, basically still trying to figure it out. And obviously through all this, we taking care of kids. Kids are, my girls are in cheer, competitive cheer. My son is doing baseball and basketball, and I'm still being the mom Uber driver all over, the state of Maryland, trying to make sure everybody's getting to where they need to be. So we're doing all of these things. And then my husband actually started a new position. He was at one organization for quite a few years, left that position because it was just crazy, toxic. And then he started a new position and became the director of sports medicine at Howard University. Yay! So proud of him. But it was a big transition. So definitely was supporting him, supporting my parents, supporting my in-laws, just supporting everybody, right? And it was a lot. It was a lot. And I was trying to, again, just navigate all of that. But I will say I was really intentional about taking care of myself amidst all of that, right? Because I knew the importance of that, because it was a lot, y'all. It was just a lot of decision fatigue, trying to, like I said, talking to all these doctors and making sure they're telling my in-laws the right thing, making sure my in-laws are making the appropriate decisions when it comes to their health care and all these things. So it was a lot to take on, right? And I'm just imagine, like, we're physicians. Just imagine, I know there's people out there who are not in our position that are trying to navigate that. So that can definitely be even heavier. So I get that, right? And I really didn't, when I hear people talk about caregiving, I really didn't know, right? I didn't really know the weight of that, and the responsibility of, and for me, I think, as the physician daughter, I really felt the pressure of, we have to make sure that we are on top of stuff and make sure that I'm doing everything I can to make sure everybody comes out of this alive, right? That was the pressure that was on me. That's the pressure that I felt. So again, in the midst of all that, I was trying to now launch another cohort for my coaching. And because I had not launched in a while, and I had some self-doubt because I launched before and didn't get any clients, so I was like, let me go back to my business coach. So she developed a new kind of program for, prior clients who could come back to get some, additional coaching. So I signed up with her, and when I did that, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get back into this. And I was excited about that. But then there was a lot of thoughts happening in my head. What if my father dies? What if I start back, getting back into this podcast, getting back into coaching clients, and my father dies, or my in-laws, something happens to my in-laws? What if? What? There was a lot of what ifs, and my mind was really focusing on what could happen, that I cannot stay present. And I decided that I could not continue I cannot continue with receiving the coaching, this business coaching. And I told my coach, I'm like, listen, I don't think that I don't think I need coaching right now. I need therapy. That's what I need right now. I need therapy because the thoughts that I'm having, it's really becoming too heavy for me to have the capacity to even coach somebody else, coach a client, and just move forward with the things that I really wanted to do, right? So I had to come to that realization and to have that honest conversation with myself, like, girl, you need to get in somebody's therapy. And I've had therapy before, you know, around the time of George Floyd's murder and the pandemic. Like right after that, that was the first time I actually admitted to myself that I was not okay, and seek therapy at that point. But I'd had a kind of a break in between since then, just because of insurance change and just, you know, life happens. So the lesson here is lesson number, I don't know, 3 is get the help that you need. I had to admit that I have now reached full capacity where there's so many things going on, you know, with both parents on both sides having all of these issues. I'm taking care of children. My husband's starting this new position, trying to support him, make sure he's good. I did not have any capacity to hold anything else like coaching a client or, you know, making recordings for podcasts and things like that. So I had to get the help that I needed. So that's lesson number 2. Lesson number 3 comes with my father eventually was like, all right, JL, I need your help. Like, not that I wasn't helping before, right? But he really had taken a turn of, I'm just going to do this by myself, which I'm like, dude, I'm here. Like, that's why I'm here. But he came to me, was like, okay, I don't know what else to do. Right. And he did, like, there was some natural person that he found in another state that he was buying all this stuff from. That's another lesson, right? Lesson, what, 4? Sorry, y'all. Make sure your parents, where are they getting their information from? Who are they talking to? Because he got linked up to some person that was claiming that he can help them. And there are so many people out here that are preying on cancer patients, tell them all this shit like, oh, I can save you with this herb and that herb. And it's some bullshit. So that was a lesson there for him. And for me to, you know, definitely be like, listen, like, what are you doing? What are you taking? Because like I said, he kind of there was a time where he really didn't communicate those things for me. And I had to, like, kind of, you know, pull it out of him to let me know what was going on. So that was the one lesson. And then, so now he came around, okay, what else can we do? So then so he was like, what about the clinical trial? I'm like, so the clinical trial they mentioned before, at that time, that was earlier on in the year. So I was like, let me reach back out to see if there's any new ones that's come about. So I called that office back and was like, well, I'm not aware, but you can actually call NIH directly. I'm like, oh, I can. So she gave me the number, and, you know, I had to pull the doctor card, y'all. I'm like, listen, hey, this is Dr. Ballard. I am calling in regards to my father who has liposarcoma, and I was wondering if you had any clinical trials that he may be a candidate for. And praise God, this woman was like, oh, yes, let me, you know, reach out to such and such, and I will get back to you. And she sent me an email and said, yes, he may be a candidate. You know, let me set you an appointment to come up here and to see, you know, initial consultation to see if, you know, we can confirm that is the case. And we did that, and he was a candidate. So clinical trials are a possible option, right? And, obviously as a physician, I've heard of clinical trials. I've, seen people, participate in those, done research as a medical student. So I know, about clinical trials, but never kind of, thought that we would be here. Right. So there's a clinical trial that was available that my father was a candidate for him to get immunotherapy. And he was ready and willing to go there, which I thought was okay. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. And the thing that he said was like, I want to do this, and I'm hoping that it also will help somebody else. And I thought that was very, and my father is that type of person. Like he is a giver. He always wants to help somebody. So I thought that was awesome. But clinical trial he is in, and he has been doing quite well. Praise God. So another lesson in this whole ordeal is that joy and sadness can occupy the same space. I'm definitely learning that, because as my father is doing well, my father-in-law is not. He is really having a challenging recovery as we speak. So that has been really hard. That's been really hard. So I'm happy that my father is doing well, but my other father, I'm sad that he's not. So learning that those two emotions can occupy the same space, has been a lesson for me, right? So those are the lessons, and the blessings have been that I'm available. I cannot imagine, y'all, if I was still trying to practice in, the practice that I was in and doing all of this. So I praise God that I'm actually, and I've said that. I've said that to my father, and I've said that God set this all up. Like when I resigned in 2021, I did not know this was happening. This was going to happen. But, back then I'm like, okay, this is the right decision. Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? But that was exactly what I was supposed to do. Because if I did not do that, I would not have been able to be so available for all of my parents, for these doctor's appointments, for all of these things that are happening with them. So I just feel so blessed in that regards to even be available. And even also with my long COVID, right? When I had long COVID, I was not able to do anything. Like, there was no way. I couldn't take care of my kids at that point, let alone taking care of parents. So I'm also grateful that my long COVID has not been an issue. It's been over a year, maybe close to 2 years, where I haven't had any symptoms of my long COVID, which I am totally grateful in that regard. So I'm glad that has not been an issue, and I've been able to, like I said, take care of them. I'm also blessed for therapy. Oh my gosh, y'all. Like, I look forward to therapy every week. There was one time our therapist was like, I don't think I'll be able to see you this. I'm like, what can I, like, what day can I come? Because I need to see you. So that has been so helpful, y'all. Just to talk it out and, have someone to just direct your thinking and keep me in the present and not worry about, what's going to happen in the future? What if this? What if that? Like, really keep me present. So that has been a godsend. So thank God for therapy. All right. The other blessing, both sets of parents are still here. Even though, again, so many challenges, they are both still here, and I am grateful. Another blessing is the kids are still good. Thank God, because I don't know if I would have been able to survive both sets of parents and children having issues. Like, yeah. So the children have been good, y'all. My girls have been all of them are doing well in school. My girls have been in competitive cheer, busting their ass. Practice is hard as hell, but they have been champions. They have won grand champions at competitions. My son is making home runs in baseball, playing baseball and basketball. So the kids have been good, thank God. And another blessing is I've been a happy housewife. So clearly I have not been coaching, so I haven't been making any money there. I think I've done a couple of speaking engagements kind of sprinkled here and there. But I've embraced being a happy housewife, and that's been a blessing. My husband has been holding it down financially, and that's growth for me, because I have to tell y'all, this may be another episode where when I resigned from practice and started a business and trying to make money, like, I really have had some money mindset trash that I really had to work through and continue to work through. And when I stopped working, I was like, oh my God, I'm not making money. I can't be independent. La, 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 la. I'm good. I'm good in that regards. So there's that. So those are the blessings. The other blessing is that I am actually, in the midst of all of this, I am writing another book. Now, I've said this before, that I'm writing a book, and I was, but then I stopped, y'all. I'm being honest. I stopped because life, right? Life is happening. But this time, I actually, to hold myself accountable, to have a community surrounded around me, I actually joined a book academy by Lovia Jai Jones, who's a New York Times bestselling author like 4 times. So I joined her academy, and now I am like really, really writing a book. And I have a book proposal that I'm working on right now, because I self-published for my first book, Loving Me, Myself, and Her Through Perimenopause and Beyond. That book is still available on my website, drjoyelle.com. But I really want to traditionally publish this upcoming book. So I am creating a book proposal that is due June 15th. And I'm sharing this with y'all because I'm putting it out there to hold myself accountable, so y'all can hold me accountable. So check on me, okay? Because writing a book is not easy, all right? But the book, basically, I'm writing this book because attitudes towards aging and menopause really causes women to think they have to maintain an identity that no longer serves them. And they are doing all the things to conform to a life that prioritizes others' expectations of them, which leaves them feeling unfulfilled and exhausted. So this book will show women how they can navigate midlife transitions with power and vibrancy when they transform the relationship they have with themselves and accept disruption as the bridge to their next best self. So I am super excited about writing this book, and I'm going to just be continuing to share that journey, because it's definitely a journey of writing this book. And it's going to talk not only about the changes that are happening within us with perimenopause and menopause, but all the other transitions that are happening outside of us when it comes to parenting, when it comes to caregiving, when it comes to pivoting in your career, starting a business. Like, I'm going to incorporate all of those things, because there's so, like I said in the beginning, menopause, aging, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. There's so many things that are happening around us that influences how we experience our aging season and our menopause season that we need to talk about. And when we are experiencing all these, we really have to be in a certain mindset through all of that. And we really have to have a certain relationship with ourselves in order to navigate all of these things and still feel vibrant and still feel powerful in all of it. So that's what I have coming. And obviously more podcast episodes. So I'm going to stop right there, because I've been talking a long time. I wanted this to be shorter, but obviously it took a little bit longer than I expected, but that's okay. Thank you for listening. If any of this resonated with you, or you was like, girl, I'm there with you, I feel you on this, I feel that, let me know. let me know in the comments. I think I'm gonna upload this on YouTube again. So let me know in the comments on YouTube. If I do upload it on YouTube, I'm still trying to figure it out. But definitely, leave a 5-star review and let me know in Apple Podcasts, and or send me a message on Instagram, DM me and let me know what you think about this episode. And please share the episode, y'all, because again, we navigating this midlife-ish stuff, and we can feel alone out here. It's a lot to deal with, and it's so easy for us to feel alone. And I don't want anyone to feel alone in this, because you are not alone. We are not alone. We are in this together. Okay? All right, y'all. Thank you for listening. Love and light to you all, and I'll catch y'all next time. All right, y'all. Bye.